Hi guys, welcome back to another movie review by me, Beardo. Today I will be reviewing Star Wars The Last Jedi. In order to talk about everything I want to talk about in this review, there will be spoilers going forward, so you've had your warning. I have stopped watching now, or continue watching at your own peril. The Last Jedi picks up straight where The Force Awakens finished, so Rey has gone to seek out Luke Skywalker, and there is a battle between the First Order and the Rebellion. The original cast, played by Mark Hamill and Carrie Fisher, return as Luke and Leia. Also, you get all the characters back from The Force Awakens, and there is quite a few more characters introduced as well, which you wouldn't think there would be enough space, especially after creating so many new characters in The Force Awakens. Mark Hamill does a really good job as Luke Skywalker, probably his most conflicted performance of this character in any of the films so far. You can really tell that the character has a lot of tornness inside him, and he's really wrestling with that to figure out if he should go with Rey to help settle order into the galaxy. The late Carrie Fisher also does a fantastic job. It's probably her meatiest role as Leia, but now she's more about fighting with words and strategy rather than just picking up a hand blaster and shooting her way out of situations. Daisy Ridley does another really good performance as Rey, as does Adam Driver as Kylo Ren. Their scenes together, which there are actually a lot more than you would think, really show what conflict these characters actually have. Okay, going into what I did like and what I didn't like about the film, I'm going to start off with the negatives. One of the first things I didn't really like was the fact that all the characters were separated from the beginning. Something that was really interesting was how this new band of characters was going to go forward together, and the fact that they're all on their separate paths again was a bit frustrating for me. Poe Dameron just seemed like a different character this time round. You would expect there to be a decent continuity in the character, but this time Poe is kind of annoying and a bit of a brat. And I get that because he's really cocksure, because he's supposed to be like one of the best pilots that Leia's ever seen. But when it causes conflict amongst other characters, you're just kind of like, oh, I wish he would just stop being such an idiot and just kind of go along with things. At the end of the last film, Finn was in a coma, and the trailers made it seem like he was going to be there for a good chunk of the film. That could have given some emotional weight to his performance or to other characters, but instead he's revived within the first 5 minutes of the film, and it's a funny scene, but it's just like, well, why end The Force Awakens the way it did if it's not really going to be picked up on in the next film? There's obviously this conflict between him and Captain Phasma, and we were promised to see more of her in The Last Jedi. Unfortunately, I think she has even less screen time, and the battle between her and Finn, which is teased in the trailer, is just really basic and doesn't go on for long. And you don't even know if it's actually Gwendoline Christie inside the costume, and it actually went through my mind while I was watching it, this could just be a stunt double. But then they cut to a shot of her helmet broken and you see her eye before she's killed, and you're just like, oh, I guess that was her. One of the biggest moments that's teased out in the trailer is whether or not Kylo Ren actually kills Leia. He doesn't, although other fighters around him do blast the ship she's on. And in a shocking but rather clever shot, you see Leia get sucked out into space, and you're like, fuck, that was actually kind of brutal, especially seeing as Carrie Fisher is no longer with us. But then moments later is one of the stupidest things I thought I'd saw on film, and you see her body moving in space, and then it slowly floats back to the ship, and then it's like, oh, she's actually okay. And it kind of felt like a tack on because of what had happened to her last year. It's not, because obviously she's filmed the scenes. The scenes were filmed before she died in real life. It was clear that it was the Force, she was using the Force to take her back, but she's not really used the Force enough to kind of show off what she can do with it in the film. Probably the biggest issue I actually have with the film is Snoke. He is completely wasted in this film. Now, I don't really like Andy Serkis as an actor, as a motion cap actor. He really does my head in. Snoke was motion captured. He could have easily been puppetry and prosthetics, but he wasn't. But the way he's dispatched in this film is just so basic and so simple that it really begs the question, why build him up to be the biggest, baddest badass, the biggest evil that there is in the galaxy right now, if all it took was using a Force to turn a lightsaber around and slice him in half? It was so stupid. I was really expecting his body to kind of like come back together, and maybe something will happen in the next film with him. Maybe not. Maybe the focus now is just going to be on Rey and Kylo Ren. But it was just a terrible way to end the character. Again, why start something so big in The Force Awakens if you're just going to get rid of it in such a stupid, nonsensical way for the sequel? Okay, so frustrations out the way on the negative side. The positives are the film is actually really funny, and it's probably one of the funniest entries I've actually done to the Star Wars saga. At the beginning, when Rey hands over the lightsaber to Luke, which obviously happens at the end of The Force Awakens, there's a moment afterwards which is fantastically hilarious. The porgs that are teased in the trailer are really funny in the film. They're not characters like Ewoks or Jar Jar Binks, they're just animals that live on the island where Luke's been hiding out on. But the scenes with them and Chewbacca especially are pretty funny and kind of dark in a way, but they were really funny, and it was a good way to kind of break up some of the scenes set between Rey and Luke. The film itself, even though it only takes place over literally like a day or two, is actually really well constructed. It still feels really big, it still feels really grandeur, and the side missions that Finn and Rose go on, which although it's a little bit wasted and not really needed, but it helps an even bigger picture for the Star Wars universe. The fight scenes are absolutely stunning. There's a fight scene where Kylo Ren and Rey team up and they're fighting Snoke's Red Knights, and it was just beautiful and really enjoyable to watch. It kind of looked like a samurai film in some way, and I wouldn't be surprised if Rian Johnson actually used samurai films as an inspiration to choreograph those scenes. The use of CGI and practical work goes really well together. There's a great cameo in the film by Yoda, and instead of using the CG version, which just looked terrible, especially in the prequel films, they've used the original puppet, and it looks fake, but it doesn't really matter because it's the original Yoda, so it kind of gives that sense of nostalgia, and it's like a really nice mythical scene. Rian Johnson has definitely decided to do something big and bold with this film, and as Luke says in the trailer to Rey, things aren't going to go the way you thought they would, and they definitely don't in the film. A lot of people criticise it for that, but you can't blame them for trying to do something new. Overall, I really liked the film. I thought that when it was good, it was fantastic, and when it wasn't fantastic, it was okay, and that was good enough for me. The action scenes and the way they've taken the story into a new area we've not really explored before is one of the reasons why I'm actually going to score this 4 out of 5. If you think differently, if you think the same, then give it a comment down below. Give the video a thumbs up and subscribe, and then you will see more videos coming from me soon. Thanks.